Welcome to the Hollywood in Toto podcast, the right take on entertainment. The HiT cast offers a weekly look at Hollywood from a conservative point of view. Sick of media bias infecting Hollywood headlines? Tired of stars insulting your views? HiT has your back. Now, here's your host, Christian Toto.
Welcome to episode 42 of the Hollywood in Toto podcast. This week we're speaking with the great Bruce Campbell, the unofficial king of B-movies and a first-rate scribe as well. He just released his new memoir, Hail to the Chin, and his Ash vs. Evil Dead series is still growing strong on Starz. But before our conversation, I want to talk about Jimmy Kimmel. You know, the guy who once choreographed girls jumping on trampolines? Well, he's now choreographing how the nation's healthcare laws will go about. That's a little unkind, but not by much. Kimmel ranted against the GOP plan to overhaul Obamacare 3 different times this week. He didn't embed the comedy in his monologue. It was just like a rant, a verbal op-ed. Sounds hilarious, right? He's hardly alone, of course. The current late-night lineup is filled with similar observations. They almost uniformly hail from the left. So much for that diversity they talk about so much. We're seeing the same thing out of Hollywood in Toto. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Consider the recent Emmys, a veritable DNC coffee clutch. It's one reason I reached out to a whole bunch of famous conservatives, including Andrew Klavan and Ben Shapiro, to find out what they think about it and the notion of a Hollywood boycott. Now, I'm no fan of boycotts. I think it's a terrible idea in general. But you know what? The rules are changing in our culture. Things that conservatives would never accept back in the day, well, they're kind of having a second opinion on them. Remember those protests of the Julius Caesar play? I mean, flashback 5 years ago, 10 years ago, conservatives would have been lined up saying, hey, that's the wrong way to do it. Now, there's some cracks in the wall. Some conservatives say, hey, this is what the left does. This is what we need to do to compete. So you have to decide for yourself if that's the right approach. But you know what? It's a whole new ball game. The rules are getting changed, and it's a tougher culture out there. So I don't know. Things that I used to think were rock solid in my approach, I'm a little unsure about. I haven't changed my mind about boycotts, but some other people have some pretty good compelling arguments where maybe boycotts are the right approach, but you'll have to check out the article in HollywoodandToto.com to see what other people think about it. You know, there's one way that people can fight back. It's with their purses and wallets, and I can't blame them for that. And you know, I check out a lot of people on social media, and that's what they're telling me. These are some of my good friends, some of my cyber friends, some people I don't even know that well. But they're just fed up. They're angry with what's going on, and they want to strike back in some capacity. Is this the best way? Will it be effective? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. But I have to say, you know, when it comes to late night TV, I don't watch much of it these days. I used to watch Leno. Of course, I grew up watching Carson. These days, I'm exhausted. By the time it's bedtime, I don't want to watch anything. I just want to kind of fall asleep or at least do a bit of binge watching before my eyelids get too heavy. But if I do watch late night, I'll check out maybe Jimmy Fallon or even Conan O'Brien over at TBS. The thought of watching Jimmy Kimmel live, now I've liked Jimmy Kimmel for a long time now, but the thought of watching his show now, after seeing all the things he said and what he's been up to of late, it's unfathomable. There's no way I would do it. It's not a conscious decision. I just want to watch something else. I don't want to kind of give my time to that particular show knowing what he's up to. And the fact that he was actually colluding with Chuck Schumer makes it even more egregious to me. As the way I see it, he's broken that unofficial bond between the late night host and the audience. He's playing sides, he's getting partisan, and he's not putting entertainment and laughs first. Sometimes he doesn't even put it third or fourth. You know, at some point, President Trump will be just Donald Trump, citizen. Kimmel and company will want viewers like me back in the fold, watching their shows again, laughing, checking them out on social media. I'm not sure I will, though. Will you?
You're listening to the Hollywood in Toto podcast, the right take on entertainment.
The HiT tip of the week is The Innkeepers. It's a horror film that I confess is not going to be for everyone. Director Ty West is a huge fan of slow burn horror stories. You don't get those jump scares. You don't get those sort of creepy moments early on that kind of hook you in. It's more of a gradual escalation of tension, bit by bit, inch by inch. It's not your typical horror movie, but I find them really satisfying, and this one certainly falls in that category. A pair of hotel workers are working in this building on the last weekend that it's going to be open. Now, there's been some talk that there are ghosts and goblins lurking around the hotel, and these two particular characters want to capture it before the hotel closes. So they've got some video camera out, maybe some audio equipment as well. They want to maybe capture it, put it up online before things go away. But of course, be careful what you wish for. I'm not going to spoil what happens next, but I think it really is going to satisfy people who are sick of the usual horror films and want something a little smarter, a little grittier, and of course the ending is going to be well worth your wait. The Innkeepers just got added to the Amazon Prime movie lineup, and I hope you check it out.
I am Groot, and you are listening to my daddy's podcast.
Now let's get to my chat with Bruce Campbell. You know him as Ash from the Evil Dead trilogy and the long-running Burn Notice show on USA Network. He's also the star of the cult classic Bubba Hotep, and let's face it, his resume is just way too long to list all the things here. He's funny, he's fearless, and he's very smart in his new memoir, Hail to the Chin, Further Confessions of a B-Movie Actor. His fans are going to love the book, which includes great stories about him working in post-communist Bulgaria and how he fits in with his oh-so-un-Hollywood neighbors in Oregon. Yes, Bruce Campbell lives in Oregon, and he's proud of it. Here's my chat with the great Bruce Campbell. Well, Bruce, thanks for joining the podcast. You know, readers are going to love the new book, and they're going to really appreciate this behind-the-scenes stories. They expect that. But what I really enjoyed about the book is the simple time, sort of life in Oregon and blading the driveway and things like that. Yeah. Talk about sort of living apart from that Hollywood ecosystem. And is it cliche to say it kind of feeds the soul, or what's it been like for you having that kind of approach for the last 2 decades?
Well, my feeling is that it's all about contrast. If you are running around on film sets and noisy and crazy and chaotic, then you go back to Los Angeles, which is noisy and crazy and chaotic. Where's the contrast in your life? So, you know, I've always paid attention to the West. I've always loved the Pacific Northwest as well. And my wife and I went out to visit my mom. And she had lived out in the Oregon area for a long time. And, you know, it just was so quiet. And it's a small town, this Medford, Ashland, Jacksonville area. And my daughter came up after I moved up there, and she goes, I got to get some at Bed Bath & Beyond. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go. So we pull up right in front of Bed Bath & Beyond, and we go in. She goes, did we just park right in front of Bed Bath & Beyond? I'm like, yeah. And then we go to the bank, and we park at the bank and go in, and there's 2 people in line. My daughter looks back, she goes, in Los Angeles, that line would be out the door. I'm like, yep, that's right. Hi, Barb. Oh, hi, Ken. Yeah, hey. How's it going? You know, and it's a completely different world that is cliche in and of itself, and it's not for everybody. Because if you're looking to dash into town and eat at your favorite restaurant, it's not going to happen. You know, you stock up for a couple of days where I live. I'm beyond cell service. So it's I'm there for the quiet.
Gotcha. You know, when you look at the new book, one of the things I loved about it was the chapters about filming in Bulgaria and all the misadventures and all the things you had to go through. Well, when you look back at that period, first of all, would you go back there again? And what was the best part of that whole experience?
Well, the best part of the experience was that you broaden your horizon, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So, you know, there's not much you can throw at me now on a film set that we can't deal with. You know, shooting a TV movie in Bogota, Colombia, you got to be kind of fast and loose. Like we don't know if the makeup truck is going to show up that day. You shoot in Sofia, Bulgaria. You don't really. That's a box of chocolate. You don't know. You have any idea what you're going to get. They still have packs of wild dogs running around.
So, expecting the unexpected. You know, one of the things, there are certain actors that I get a sense about, and I think I'd throw Hugh Jackman in there. There's a sort of let's put on a show spirit that he has that I think really is engaging, and I would put...
He's very good at that.
Yeah, I'd put you right in that category. Is that something you've always had, or does it take a certain confidence, maybe get a few projects under your belt where you can kind of get that sense, that spirit, and then bring that to the screen?
Well, Well, as an actor, you're a salesman. And if you're confident in your sales, I think that makes a better salesman. Early on, maybe you're not such a good salesman. So I think with anything you learn, I consider acting a trade. It's like, brick playing that you do 10,000 hours. You're going to look back at your first 1,000 hours and go, that's nice. So your criteria changes over time. I wouldn't take roles that I took back in the day, but, as you develop and change and mature, you start to realize the situations you don't want anymore. Or you start to identify what is a great script versus what is an unshootable script. You start to realize which directors are shining you on, telling you a story, and which really know what they're doing. So I kind of like it. You got to start somewhere. So would I do Maniac Cop today? I don't know. Probably not. Back then, yeah. Let's do it. New York City, cool.
You began your career decades ago at a time where Comic-Cons were not all the rage, and geek culture wasn't sort of the reigning champ of what we do. And everything's different now. And, Geek Nation is alive and well, and I love it, and I think it's fun, and I think it's a good thing. But I was kind of curious, in a way, you've kind of bridged the gap between before and after. What do you think, just given your perspective and the way you've been within this industry, what changed in our culture that made this all possible? I mean...
That's what it is. I'm not going to wait to see Norman Reedus 20 years from now. I want to see him at a convention now. So the conventions I went to in the 80s, it was, Burt Ward and Adam West, because there was Lou Ferrigno. It was guys who were in shows from years ago. Now, it's a whole mixed bag. It's all the Walking Dead guys. Norman Reedus is like Elvis at conventions. So, and it's Stephen Amell from Arrow. It's all the guys who are on shows now. So it's a pretty cool mix. The Green Room is a great mix of old school, new school, medium school. Like, it was the whole Duck Dynasty family was sitting at a table, and Elvira was making her green tea. Here, Stan Lee is napping at a table. And they're very entertaining.
Gotcha. Do you find that your younger fans these days are different in any way than your older fans, like the guys and gals who've been with you in their 40s and 50s and 60s who've watched your entire career?
They're more tattooed now. More tattooed, and more women are coming out, and it's okay to like horror. It's okay to get tattoos. It's okay. Horror was very low on the totem pole. In the 70s, horror was one rung above porn, really. And now, thankfully, because of our brothers at The Walking Dead, it's way more mainstream. It's just, look, and at the end of the day, it's just another genre that will come and go. But right now, it's sort of back again. And it's kind of nice to see.
Yeah. There's a line in your book, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, where you say, we don't need another actor weighing in on politics. You're talking about your time in Iraq, entertaining the troops, and it was sort of great stories there. But, these days, a lot of actors don't take that path, and they're getting more political, and they're more open and more vocal. Just from your perspective, do you think, you've got such a strong bond with your fans? I mean, it's obvious, and it's been there forever, and I don't think it's going to go away. Do you think that other actors are sort of risking that bond where maybe the stars don't show up? What's your take on that?
It's separation of church and state. It's that simple. You want to come on my Twitter? Hey, here's the link to where you should buy tickets for Last Man Standing tonight in, Salt Lake City. Hey, look at me. Hey, I'm taking a kooky hike today. What do you think? I'm lollygagging. Hey. I either have Evil Dead links or retweet something else from that. I've had to mute a whole bunch of actors that I follow. They don't know that I muted them. That's the way the mute thing works. But because I'm like, not everything is political. It doesn't have to be political. Just, look, Republicans and Democrats both rent my DVDs. Why would I want to piss off any one, half of them? If I start saying stupid stuff, half of them they're going to flip me the bird. Why? Why go do that? Or, if you want, have a separate tweet that says, it's political groovy Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about issues and all that sort of stuff, and you duke it out, but they get in these arguments with people that it'll never end. Everyone's got to make their point, and everyone has all these amazing reasons why they're right. So I really try not to go there.
Gotcha.
If there's a great joke out there somewhere, that's fine. But whenever I touch commenting on civil disobedience or riots or, I mean, if people who wade in on serious issues have got to have their ducks in a row, too. Don't be casual. Like Lucy Lawless is very environmental, and she's very militant. She'll go hang out with Greenpeace and climb up some observation pole in the Arctic to save her children. She brings it. So when she goes after somebody, she does it with purpose.
Yeah. And
she's out defending herself very vigorously. She's very informed. She's very involved. But these armchair guys, I don't know. When I start hearing the same rhetoric spouted on both sides, they're quoting other people.
Yeah.
They're hearing the same phrases. And, it's their own political parties that want to lock in certain phrases. Good phrases about your party, bad phrases and connotations about the other party. It's so silly. It's also silly that we're represented by just two parties in this ridiculous country of ours. Let's
Gotcha.
get something out.
Yeah. You recently said in an interview, we were talking about Sharknado and movies like that. You said, I'm in movies that don't try to be bad. And I love that quote. And I thought,
Trying to be bad.
Yeah.
We're trying to be bad.
Is that getting lost these days where there's sort of a...
We're not taking any of this seriously. You should just do a farce.
Mm-hmm.
Do like the Wayans brothers movies. Just go there because if you start out with certain, I don't know, don't hit me with kitsch right from the start. Get there naturally.
Mm-hmm. Just one last question. Ash versus Evil Dead has been a big hit with fans. And, I think there were a lot of expectations for that project, given all the work you've done. Was it satisfying that people clicked with it right away? And were you a little scared that maybe we wouldn't be able to kind of connect, kind of regroup or reclaim the mojo we had?
Absolutely. Oh, it was a terrifying and almost stupid thing to do. Was to think that, last time I played Ash was 1991. So 26 years later, we'd still be playing sort of an absurd concept. And no, we don't really know. But I did know from doing conventions and other things that the desire was there to see more of it. What we didn't know that they would accept is new characters, Ash as a middle-aged, out-of-shape guy who is not really suited to do this work anymore. Now he's got to save the world. And to me, that was actually the appeal. I want to see that guy save the world. I don't care about some guy who's, fresh out of the Marines or Navy SEAL. So what? Any of those guys can save the world. If you're Superman, of course you can save the world. But I want an idiot who has no skills whatsoever, no military background, no nothing, no education, no prospects. The guy, he has bad habits. Last season, he smoked angel dust, drinking out of a bottle while he's catching circles in his car, breathing over a log. That's what a great character. I feel like I'm George Lucas. I can go back and fix that.
That's right.
25 years of more experience to nuancing the character that wasn't really developed.
Gotcha. Well, I want to thank you again, Bruce Campbell, for joining the show. The new book, Hail to the Chin, Further Confessions of a B-Movie Actor. And, of course, check out the third season of Ash vs. Evil Dead coming soon. All the best, Bruce, and thanks for your time.
Go with that.
That's right.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Well, thanks again for listening. Don't forget to check out HollywoodandToto.com for both the show notes and, of course, the latest entertainment news. Please follow me at Twitter at HollywoodandToto. And we'd love it if you leave a podcast review over at iTunes. See you next week.